just stop. Here's Ross, the host with today's dose of common sense.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Big day today in the news, and so I felt compelled to just put something out there because it was a significant incident, and we're talking, of course, about the death of Charlie Kirk. It occurred today while he was giving a talk at a university in Utah, and someone shot him. Apparently, just within the last half hour or so, they have apprehended the shooter. The first person that people were putting a picture out of saying that he was the shooter, somebody who was in handcuffs and on the ground and stuff, turned out to not be the actual shooter. So it was just a misunderstanding. Apparently, we don't know why that person was being detained or anything like that. So, but the actual shooter was on the run, and they did catch him. Kash Patel just put that information out just a few minutes ago. So as far as that goes, that is resolved. It sounds like they took him alive, so we may get to understand some of his motivations for this. But I have to tell you, I saw the video within minutes, within 4 or 5 minutes of it happening. Someone was already posting video of it, which is to be expected in today's day and age. There were thousands of people there, and everybody, of course, has a camera, a phone, and they were doing whatever, filming, taking selfies, whatever they were doing. But there's plenty of video evidence of what happened. But initially, there were two videos that were put out on the web. The first one was not so bad. I mean, the incident itself is bad, but visually it didn't show much because it was at a distance, and the person moved the camera when they realized that somebody was shooting and all that. So, but the other one, it was very clear and very obvious and at a much closer distance. So it was one of those things, if you've ever seen traumatic injuries, things like that, you knew immediately that he was not going to recover from that. It was just too much. It was too traumatic. The loss of blood was very rapid, and he was probably dead before they got him to an ambulance, which is sad. He was, okay, Charlie Kirk. I'm not going to mince any words. I didn't like the guy. I didn't care for him at all. I thought he was kind of a jerk. But he had this thing where he would go around and debate people on different things. And of course, he had this Christian nationalist point of view, and he had this theology of his own or wherever he learned it from. And I didn't agree with any of it because it's a flawed theology. What he believes isn't actually biblical or anything like that. Some of his views are just absolutely wrong. But like most Christians in the world, they don't understand that. They don't realize that what they believe is wrong. Mostly because they've been raised that way or taught that way. So I didn't agree with him on hardly anything. Now, listen, everybody has always called me a right-wing nut job. And today I'm centrist. I'm a moderate now. I haven't changed my views at all, but everyone around me has. They've either moved farther left or farther right, and we moderates and centrists are becoming a dying breed. But, you know, he was a polarizing figure, and people would debate him about different things, and he was very well read. He had educated himself on the topics that he wanted to understand, and he had no fear of debating people, and that was fine. But like I said, I didn't care for him. I thought he was kind of a dick. But does that mean he needed to die? No. Absolutely fucking not. We are deteriorating as a society. We have been for decades now. And no, it's not because we gave up the family values of the 1950s and we took the Ten Commandments out of the schools and all that. No, it's not because of that. It's because of a lot of factors. But more recently, like in the last 20 years or so, it has definitely been political polarization, where two parties used to work together to come to to get to a common goal. And the whole phrase was, we both want to get to the same place. We have just different ideas of how to get there. That's no longer true. The place that the two parties want to get to are completely different places now. So they have decided that there would be no more cooperation, no reconciliation with anything. You're considered a traitor if you're willing to cross the aisle and work with someone from the other side on legislation, which is what they did to John McCain. They started calling John McCain a traitor because he was willing to cross the aisle and talk to the other side and come up with a compromise and a solution to things. The Republicans started calling him a traitor because he would do that. But that's why you were fucking elected to Congress in the first place, was to go up there and negotiate and cooperate and create a better country for us. And all of you are failing at that right now. Every single person in Washington, D.C. is failing at that. What you are doing is creating a wider chasm between the sides. And people who typically thought they were in the middle now are being forced to pick a side. Oh, you can't be in the middle. You're with us or you're against us. Thank you, George W. Bush. But the polarization and the demonization of the people we don't agree with, it's absurd, and it is literally killing people. It is destroying our nation. It has to stop. And it has to stop quickly, or it's going to be too late. It may already be too late, to be honest with you. Considering who this country elected to be president in the last 20 years, 30 years, really? Do you think we're capable of picking a good president anymore? I don't know. I don't know if we are. I don't know if a good person is ever going to run for president again, because they don't want to be part of this hatred and demonization, one side against the other, and intentionally and purposefully pitting people against one another in our own country. They are destroying us, these politicians, these organizations that provide them with their funding, because Trump, I'll be honest with you, Trump is a fucking moron. He's not smart enough to do anything when it comes to being president. He's doing whatever he's told to do. And who do you think is telling him to do it? The people who give him money. That's it. He's not listening to anyone else. It's just about the money. And he gets a lot of it. His family is currently enriching themselves on the office of the presidency. There hasn't been any real unique thought that came from him. It's all coming from the Heritage Foundation and the Project 2025 and all these other lunatics. He didn't come up with these policies. He doesn't even know what he's signing when he's signing these executive orders. You can tell by looking at the situation that he has no idea what that executive order says until someone tells him, because someone else is writing them. Someone, the puppet master, is holding the strings of that puppet, and he's just writing it out because he knows he'll be richer for it. But it's leading to this kind of just craziness where we're willing to kill each other because we have a disagreement over something, I don't know, like trans rights. Some people are willing to say these transsexual people have no rights. Well, that's not cool. It doesn't matter if you agree with someone being trans or not. You can't take away their rights. They're human beings. And these rights were, endowed by our Creator, these unalienable rights. I'm pretty sure they meant for everyone, not just white Christian men who are wealthy. And that seems to be the only people who matter to a lot of politicians. And I'm going to talk about some more of this later. This is not the appropriate podcast to do it on, but I wanted to jump on here and say that I've said it before, but this has to stop. We can't keep killing each other because we disagree. It used to not be that way, but it is now. And this cannot become the norm where political violence becomes normal. Unfortunately, there are so many fucking morons up in Washington, D.C. that none of them are doing anything to stop it. None of them. None of them are doing anything. The only time they're going to do something is if they think they might be one of the people who are going to get killed. Then all of a sudden it's important. But as long as it's gay people or trans people or brown people or, right-wing nut jobs or Christian crazies, as long as it's somebody else, none of them give a shit. Because to be honest with you, none of those people in Washington, D.C. give a flying fuck about you. None of them do. Mike Johnson is one of the worst human beings on the planet. And he comes out and says, we need to, find unity and blah, blah, blah. Everything he lives for is division. Everything he's done while he's been up there has been to divide the people and force them to fight each other. So when he stands up and says anything, it's meaningless. It's absolutely meaningless because he does not mean it, because he gets richer and more powerful the more we fight each other. And if you have problems with the way somebody else lives, you are the problem. As long as it's not criminal, as long as nobody's hurting each other, nobody should give a flying fuck what somebody else is doing. And it's okay for me to say it's a tragedy that Charlie Kirk was killed today. It should not have happened. Because it shouldn't. It doesn't matter if I didn't like him. It doesn't matter if I disagreed with him on virtually everything. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. What matters is none of us should be crazy enough to pick up a rifle and shoot him because we don't like what he has to say. You cannot silence people. Well, you can. It's just a matter of a gunshot away. You can silence somebody. But it shouldn't happen. It should never happen. It shouldn't happen in other countries. It definitely shouldn't happen here. We've been sliding into the banana republic way of living for several years now, and now we look like one. We definitely look like one because our political, figures are just being gunned down in the road now, and that's going to be normal now. But it can't be. It can't be normal. Charlie Kirk did not need to die. Nobody needed to die. Those judges and things a few months ago with that incident, they didn't need to die. Nobody needed to die because they had a different political position. And anybody who is going to add fuel to the fire and turn this into another call to arms, because now we definitely have to go after those lefties who killed Charlie Kirk, and now we have to oppress people because they believe differently than us. We're already on the slope to tyranny. It's been happening for a while, and these types of incidents are the things that can push it over the edge. And yes, a lot of the conspiracy theorists are going to say this was done intentionally. Charlie Kirk was sacrificed so that they could, get more people to wear jackboots and oppress their fellow citizens. Because that might happen. Do you remember all those people who talked about, Obama's going to have the brown shirts, Obama's brown shirts and all that stuff, all that shit that never actually happened and it wasn't real? You have it now, but it's on your side, so you don't care. And that makes you a fucking idiot. Because the moment you are no longer within that ever-narrowing lane of acceptable people, they will stomp you into the fucking mud too. And you better get your head around that, because that's exactly what happens. Once tyranny and oppression starts, it doesn't stop until someone stops it. And that usually involves a war. So you might want to rethink your positions, because currently there's a whole lot of fucking idiots in this country who are acting like monsters and proud of it. They're proud of it. They're not even going, well, I believe this is the right thing. They're not even saying that. They're just saying, They took the leash off of me, and now I can openly oppress other people. I can openly put my jackboots on and stomp on people now because the president said it's okay. Got to take the leash off these people. Let them run. Well, what we're discovering is that a lot of those people were fucking Nazis, essentially. And they were always like this. But only recently were they allowed to be themselves. And it's creating this disaster that we're looking at today. And unfortunately, people are dying because of it. And there's nobody to blame but ourselves, because we won't put a stop to it. So hopefully everybody's at home right now thinking this through. And hopefully nobody's celebrating the fact that Charlie Kirk died today, because we should never celebrate anybody dying, especially for such stupid reasons like somebody probably didn't like his position on trans, or somebody didn't like the fact that he was a Christian, or he was a loudmouth son of a bitch that nobody liked, so somebody decided that he needed to die anyway. It's all wrong. It doesn't matter. There's no justification for it. There's no justification for any of the violence that we've seen in the last several years. And yet here we are, and it's only going to be worse. Back in the old days, there used to be a big concern about the militarization of the police forces. And then you would have riots and mass shootings and terror cells and running gun battles in the street. And then you would wonder, why do these cops have to have all these guns and all these armored vehicles and stuff? Well, it's because you did it. Granted, they started militarizing before the citizens started pushing back, but it's just a back and forth. It's the pendulum, and the pendulum just swings farther and farther every time. So now you have cops dressed like they think they're SEAL Team 6 operators and riding around in armored vehicles because they want to find people who are here illegally or whatever. These guys are kitted out better than the National Guardsmen are that they put out on the street for whatever reason. I don't know. But that's what we have now. We have a militarized police force, absolutely militarized police force. It's not even a conspiracy theory anymore. And how do we make that go back? We don't. So the riots in the streets are just going to get more and more violent. Just more and more violent. And more people are going to have to die on both sides, and nobody's ever going to come to their senses. At some point, someone in a position of power has to put their arms in the air and say, stop. Stop it. President Trump could be the man of the year, the man of the decade, right now, if he stood in front of the American people and said, stop. Stop hating each other. We're in this together. It all needs to stop. I will disavow any act of violence or any rhetoric or any threat of violence from my side of this aisle from anyone. And if anyone in my administration is involved, I will fire them immediately. If any of my cabinet members says anything that I think is over the edge, they're fired immediately. And I'm going to sit down with everyone in Congress, and we are going to put our heads together, and we're going to find a solution. We're going to stop fighting. We're going to stop fighting with each other, and we're going to start fighting for our country, and we're going to fix it, because we're wrong. We're heading in the wrong direction, and we need to stop. If President Trump did that, he would be a national hero. But he won't. He's just not going to do it. And that's sad. Anyway, until next time. Sorry, this is rushed and I'm a little out of breath because I was actually working and everything. But I just had this on my mind and I had to get it off my chest. That I'm embarrassed at us as a nation. I have been for a while, but sometimes I have to say something about it. Nobody's going to listen to me. I'm not important enough or powerful enough, but I'm embarrassed at my nation. And I never thought I would say that. But I am now. So have a good night. Hug your kids. Talk to your parents. Talk to your spouse. Talk to your neighbor. For God's sakes, go talk to someone. When you're in line at the restaurant, or when you're anywhere, doesn't matter. When you're out in public, you're at the grocery store. When you see people, say hi. Hi, how you doing? Hey, don't I know you from that place? Have a conversation with people. Stop looking at your phone, typing shit into your phone all day long, and ignoring humanity. Stop ignoring your fellow humans. Stop ignoring the plight of people who are being oppressed every single day. But it's not you, so it's okay. It's fine. I don't have to worry about it. It's not me. I'm a middle-aged, middle-class, white American. I'm not going to be oppressed. Yet. Until somebody decides that that is wrong. Be kind to each other. You want to talk about, but I'm a Christian and I'm against all that stuff. Well, Jesus told you that there were 2 commandments that were more important than anything. And most Christians probably don't even know what they are, because you're not really Christians. But it was to love the Lord with all your heart and treat your neighbor as you treat yourself. So there you have it. If you aren't doing those 2 things, you are not a Christian. And you can't claim to be a Christian, and you can't claim that your Christian values make you hate someone because they're different. It's just not a thing. So, be different, be better. Fix your fucking selves. And stop this nonsense. Good night.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Really? Just Stop with your host, Ross. Make sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so that you never miss a dose of some common sense.